Hey guys, so today I'm going to be trying a new style wreath that I kind of came up with in my mind. Now I have no idea if this is going to work or how this video is going to look because I have yet to actually put it together. So please hang in there with me if this is kind of all over the place, but here's my thought process. This is a 14-inch foam wreath frame that I got from Walmart. Now this was in the craft section and not in the wreath floral section. So that's a 14-inch, and then this is the little 9.8-inch that you can get from Dollar Tree. Now, this is not fitting snugly in there, and if you want it to fit snugly, you can try the 12-inch, but my thought process was I would rather have a little extra room than have it kind of sitting up and out of it. So I went ahead and went with a 14. And I'm also going to put some beading or something in here to kind of fill that gap in anyway. Another thing you want to think about is if you're going to be using something that's going to make a thicker diameter than what a ribbon would. So if you're going to be using ribbon or thin string like yarn, you probably won't need the 14-inch. You might be able to use the 12-inch. Hopefully this is making sense, guys. Like if you're using garland, tulle, any of that, it'll be thicker than ribbon, obviously. The other thing that I'm going to be using is this really pretty Santa ribbon. It's a burlap. It says Merry Christmas, and it's got some gold sparkles, and it just looks really, really nice. This one was from Dollar General. It's 2.5 inch by 9 feet. I am going to be going through 2 rolls of this. So I would highly recommend you buy 2 rolls for your project for the outside, and then you're going to want 2 rolls for the inside. Now you may need more or less if you use anything smaller than a 2.5 inch. Just keep that in mind. If you are using a 1.5 inch on the outside, you may need 3 or 4 rolls. So just pay attention to that when you're out buying things, because the last thing I want is for you to run out and then not be able to complete your project. So that's going to vary depending upon how much you need, depending on how wide your material you're putting around this is. The other ribbon that I'm going to use is a 1.5 inch ribbon that I got from Walmart, and this is also a 9-foot roll. Now I only have one of these, so I am going to have gaps that I'm going to have to fill in, and I decided to go ahead and use this 1/4 inch ribbon that is nice, white, and sparkly. I'm hoping that works. If not, I'm going to have to run out and try to find some more of this glittery ribbon, but I'm going to try to make this work since I don't have another roll of that. To attach the ribbon down to the frame, you can use hot glue if you want to. However, I don't like mine to be super permanent because I'd like to use these frames over and over and over again. I am going to use sewing pins. That's all I'm using. Now you can use the floral pins over in the floral craft section. I just find those a little harder to work with, and I just don't like them. So you use whatever's going to work best for you. These work better. They're easy to get in and out and not so frustrating for me. So I prefer these. I also have over here some mesh tubing, but I may replace the mesh tubing idea with beads or garland. I'm not sure yet. This is just like part of my embellishment that I'm going to do. The other ribbon that I have here is this really pretty thin gold ribbon that I think I'm going to use as my hanging ribbon, put a bow on it, that sort of thing. So that is over there since there's gold in this ribbon. All 3 of these colors are pulling off of this ribbon because that's my main focus. The other thing that I have is craft wire. Now I'm going to use this to kind of help hold these 2 frames together. I have wire cutters and scissors here. I'm going to consider my back. I'm going to push one of those sewing pins in. Now I do use the ones with the little balls because that just helps hold things together. And this is wired ribbon. I find wired ribbon just easier for me to work with. But again, you use whatever you want on this project. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start wrapping it around. I'm going to keep wrapping and try to get it as close as I can to where I am not seeing the foam green frame underneath, but still giving myself enough to get all the way around this. And make sure you're checking this side and this side. So just keep flipping like this and just making sure that everything is covered and you're not missing a spot. One thing I will say with this glitter is if it's a good glitter, it is going to still have fallout, but it'll last a little bit longer than cheaper glitter ribbon. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal this glitter with a gloss sealer, or you can even use hairspray. So I fixed it. There were a few spots where I just had too much overlay, so I was able to go all the way around. Yay! In part, if you're using the floral pegs or pins, whatever you want to call them, it will just cover the whole thing. But since I'm using these, since they're easier for me, I am just going to put one in each corner. And this did cover up the other little pin that I have under there. So I know it's hard to see, guys, but it's hanging out right there. And you cannot see any of the green on either side. The two pieces meet. I am going to cover that with this. Okay, so I'm going to take that pin out of the corner there. I'm going to angle it, and then I'm going to put it right back in to hold both ribbons down. And now I'm just going to start working my way around, covering those points where they meet. Sorry about that, guys. My battery had died, but I basically just wrapped it around to the meet point. I'm still using the same pin that's holding all of the ribbon together. So that's what the back looks like, and this is the front. I'm going to go ahead and just pin it down. I like to start where the thing meets here. So I'm just going to pin one side because this is a bigger ribbon. I am going to be using two needle pins. We're just going to wrap. Wrap around. So see, I'm coming over it a little bit. Because I know I have more with this ribbon, I am not going to be as close as I was with the inner ribbon, and that's why I suggest you guys just have 2 rolls of each, maybe even 3 depending upon the length of it. Okay, so we've come to the end of this, and I'm just gonna stick one in here to hold that in place while I start with my next ribbon. Now, because mine has a pattern on it, I need to make sure when I'm wrapping it, the Santa Claus is going in the exact same direction, because I don't want Santa Claus to be upside down. Make sure that you're putting your pin towards the back. So this is the back of mine, so I want to try to get it as close as I can. I'm going to put one through that ribbon corner, and I'm going to put one through the other ribbon corner. Okay, and then I'm just going to continue with the second row. Okay, and then I'm going to go around one more time, just like that. And this is going to be my end point, because I can feel my little pins under there as close as I can. And then I'm going to put 2 more pins there. So there's going to be a lot of sewing pins in these, or a lot of craft pins, floral pins, whatever you decide to use. So just keep that in mind. You're going to want to have plenty there. And I think because this is my end point and this is a wider ribbon, I am going to add a 3rd in the center just to be safe. So that is what the front looks like. You can see kind of Santa poking through. There we go. Now you can decide, if you don't care that that gap is there, you can just tie your bow on and be done with it, and just have the ribbon like kind of loop it in and tie it and have it just holding it this, but this is not going to be stable because this one is a little bit too small. So if that's going to bother you, you can either get the 12 and see if that will work. I can't guarantee that it will, but you can try that. Or you can do what I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to take some craft wire And I'm going to cut a decent size piece off. I want 2 of those. Half of it in there, and then the other half is in the other side. And then I'm going to insert the other half of the wire into the white wreath. So for the bottom, I did go in this direction. So you are going to go through the whole wreath. So just push it through the inner wreath, and then take and, with some force, push this through down until you don't see it sticking out of your wreath anymore. Now that is a little tricky to do, guys, so a couple choice words might be said there. You can also just wrap the wire around the part where you're going to cover it with a bow if you get too frustrated, but just give it a little time. It will work. I've got mine in there. You can see the little piece there, right there, and then there's a piece over here that you can see, but it's just holding it in place, so now I can pick it up and move it and the small one will come out. And use the green, since there is green in Santa. I want to make this pop a little bit, so I'm going to make sure I'm putting my start point up here. And I think this would look gorgeous if you like used beaded garland, anything, like, oh, it would look so pretty. Like, you can do so many things with this, guys, and I'm really excited to like try this, and it's actually working. So what I'm going to do for the garland, since my pins kind of fall straight through it because of the holes with this mesh tubing, I am just going to put a little bit of hot glue here on the corner, and I'm going to stick it to the ribbon, and I'm using a low temperature so that way it doesn't go through the ribbon onto the wreath form and melt the wreath form. So I'm going to put a little glue there. If you want this to be more permanent, definitely use E6000, but like I've said, I like to kind of be able to take mine apart, reuse the forms underneath once the stuff starts to fall apart or fade. Little bit of glue there, and kind of stick that to that side. And I'm just kind of going to go through and put little bits of glue in spots to hold. At the starting point, I'm going to put a little dab of glue and kind of push that down into it. Go with a burlap. I was going to use this gold, but I just feel like it was too much for the hanging ribbon anyway. I am going to line it up so it matches, and then I'm going to kind of just find the point that it kind of sits in. And then towards the back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give this a knot just because I want it to be secure. I don't want this moving all around. You don't have to do this process if you don't want to. You can hang it really however you want, guys. I just showing you what I'm doing. So I'm going to double knot that towards the back of the wreath frame so you don't see it. Up towards the top, all I'm going to do is kind of, you know, do a little pull through knot, I guess. So I made this bow. If you want to know how to make the bow, I'm going to put the person who I learned from in the description box. Attach it now on to the knotted portion of that. I'm going to flip this over so you guys can see it. And I just used pipe cleaners, Chanel stems, whatever you guys want to call them. And I'm just going to kind of like secure it onto there with my wire clippers. And then I'm just going to kind of tuck it behind there so it doesn't scratch my wall or my door. Fluff my bow here, fluff. I love glittery ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and just go around my whole project and get underneath, and then I'm going to get the bow and just get every angle of that bow that I can so my glitter doesn't fall off. Last little thing before I let you guys go, I was putting away this wreath in my Christmas stuff, and I realized I had a bag of like wreath accessories that I bought last year. These are still there this year. You can go pick them up at Dollar Tree, but you know, you could always stick little things like that in there. Okay guys, and that's what it looks like on the door. Definitely not poofy puffy like my other wreaths. I don't have this set to like the right length yet. I am gonna have to adjust for my particular door, but you get the picture of what that looks like. You can always put floral picks in here, holly berry, whatever you want to kind of fill out maybe the bottom or put your name or whatever. Again, this is just a general idea of what this could look like. I personally like just this plain look here. It's very just sleek, and I really like how the gold bow is pulling out the gold in the Santa. It's not very noticeable on camera, but you can definitely see it in person. So there you go guys. There is another simple wreath tutorial for those of you that can't get your hands on mesh or don't like the mesh. I wanted to do something else for you guys, so there it is. There is one Christmas wreath, more to come.